This area here, the area of the palatine bone, and we have the major and the minor palatine foramen. And this one extend to this area here, and we have several openings. I will talk about them later. This bone here, which is the four-sided bone, is called the tragoid bone. Also here, we have the mandible, two bone fuse at the midline, mandibular symphysis. This called the mandible. We have the body and we have the ramus. Usually the body contains the alveolar space for the tooth. So all this area here is called the body. There's a fossa here. It's called masseteric fossa, and this is very important. This is the area where we have the masseter muscle. If we go to this area here, we have the coronoid process, mandibular notch, condyle, and here we have the angular process. At this area here, we have 1, 2, 3. This foramen is called the mental foramen. We have the rostral mental foramen, we have the middle, and we have the caudal mental foramen. If we go to the area in the medial surface, we have one opening. It's called the mandibular foramen. And usually the mandibular foramen, we have a canal extend from here toward the mental foramen. And at this area here, we have the artery and vein and nerve, the inferior alveolar artery, vein, nerve pass from the mandibular foramen to reach the mental foramen. Here I will talk about the brain case bone. Again, we have paired bone and we have the unpaired bone. We have here the frontal bone, and you can see here it's articulate with the nasal bone, with the maxilla, and with the parietal bone. This bone here is called the parietal bone, whereas the one that near the ear is called the temporal bone. And usually the temporal bone consists of three parts. We have this part here, which is bulging. It's called tympanic part, and we call it the tympanic bulla. And we have here the area which carries the zygomatic process. We call it the squamous part. If we break this area here, the tympanic bulla, we will see the third part, which is the petrous part, which is only have one part is not hidden, which is the mastoid process. Inside here, as I said, we will, if we break this area here, we will see the petrous part. For the bones that unpaired, the first one here, we have the interparietal bone. We have the occipital bone, which is the most caudal part of the skull. And also we have this part with this triangular area. All this area is the sphenoid bone. For the last part, which is the ethmoid bone, it's a hidden bone, and usually it's hidden between the facial bone and the brain case bone. And we have to divide the skull to can see its parts. Okay, so this bone here is called the ethmoid bone, and this is the last bone of the unpaired bone of the brain case bone. The area here, we have the cranial cavity, and usually inside this cranial cavity we have the brain, and we have the cover that surround the brain, which is the meninges.